and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Rivalries are the spice of the sporting life, and even without the stakes, this would be a huge weekend in the Valley where ASU and BYU open a new chapter in what is going to be a wonderful rivalry in the Valley, just like ASU and GCU basketball was at Footprint Center 8 days ago. It's proof that rivalries can sprout internally within a growing sports market and that we don't have to fixate on teams from Los Angeles all the time. But ASU's game on Saturday is way bigger than that. For the Sun Devils, it is the pathway to a Big 12 title game. It would set up the most nerve-wracking territorial cup ASU fans have faced in years. It would put the Sun Devils in the conversation for a college football playoff berth, and it would validate Kenny Dillingham as the hero from a grim fairy tale who walked into our lives and woke up that lazy, pathetic, sleeping giant. And it would prove that these moments and these seasons are why we watch and why we love sports. It is the magic carpet ride phase, the great stories that spawn before our eyes and before their time and before expectations and money conspire to ruin everything.
We're trying to make sure their bodies, get back and get right, for the last stretch. So, I think we just got to make sure that we're not comfortable. It's really easy to get comfortable when you've had success. Nobody tells you how good you are, and we're trying to fight against that, but that's challenging. Human nature comes into effect. Human nature, there's a reason it's challenging. And they're coming in here pissed off. So if we're not prepared to play a team that's pissed off with everything on the line, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, that's Kenny Dillingham earlier this week. He joined us, Kenny did, for his weekly visit at 7 o'clock. And no, not everybody could have heard that. And we're going to make it real easy for you to catch up on it. We're going to play that again for you at 9:15 this morning. But he's bracing for that very thing from BYU.
Mm-hmm.
BYU was a team that held its, and you know how I feel about this phrase, held its destiny in its hands.
Yeah.
And it slipped through their hands when they lost at home last week in a very lackluster performance against the Kansas Jayhawks. They still have an opportunity to win the Big 12 title. There's 4 teams that have those opportunities. It's BYU and ASU they're meeting. Colorado and Iowa State is the 4th. I fully agree with what Kenny Dillingham said. I think you're going to get the best from BYU this week.
Right. And because BYU is coming in here, they're not going to be surprised at all the blue and white in attendance. No. They're going to be expecting it. They are very, very much aware there is a large segment of BYU grads, alumni, and fans here in the Valley. And so this is on many, many levels going to kind of check boxes and get them motivated. And I think Kenny Dillingham is right on the money because, Kenny's living it now. I'm sure he's hearing from a lot of famous people, celebrity alumni. He's the dude right now. And as a head coach of a football team of a season in progress, you want to look back on that. You don't want to swim in that now.
Yeah. Because
if you do, then your players do, and then you're lost. So I think his messaging is right, and I think that's probably exactly why he got on the team coming out of that victory over the weekend, just like he's done before. Just setting that tone that, look, it's don't give in to the temptation of thinking you're all that.
Yeah, and he sent that message to the team and shared that message with the media. To your point on BYU, people don't talk about it as much. They talk about it more from the Notre Dame front. Notre Dame is a national brand. Mm-hmm. Wherever they go, they're going to have a contingent of fans. BYU is kind of the same way.
Yep.
It's a very much a national brand.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be expecting that. I hope Kenny Dillingham's message got to ASU fans. Hey, if you got a ticket, you can't go. Make sure it gets into the hands of an ASU fan. It's a sellout. It's in the middle of the day. The secondary prices on the ticket market are through the roof. But one thing I'm incredibly excited about, and we talked about Cam Scatterbo with Kenny earlier, and he says, I believe he was 100%, and then credited Kansas State with what they were able to do. And to Kenny's point, they did a good job on him, and he still had 73 yards rushing and 44 yards receiving. So he had well over 100 all-purpose yards. In his last 3 home games, the last 3 football games that Cam Scatterbo has played in, Bick, they've all been on the road. That was Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati. His numbers at home, you want to talk about a guy who's fueled by the home crowd? Mississippi State, Cam Scatterbo, 33 carries, 262 yards. Kansas, 25 carries, 182 yards and a touchdown. Utah, 22 carries, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, and highlight touchdowns in key situations in that ball game. Those are his last 3 home games. It's senior day tomorrow at Mountain America Stadium. You want to talk about a guy who's going to have juice coursing through his veins, it's Cam Scatterbo.
Oh, boy.
And BYU is really good against the pass.
Mm-hmm.
They do intercept the ball a lot, 17 interceptions this year for that defense. You can run on them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to get a very, very steady, heavy dose of Cam Scatterbo. It might be one of those legendary games.
I hope it is. I've got a real good feeling about this. I hope I am not wrong. I think this team in this moment is going to seize this moment, and I do kind of envision the same kind of game you just laid out there. The difference, of course, and Kenny Dillingham touched on it with us, is this is a game when you don't want the turnovers to pop up, because if they're profound at turning you over, intercepting passes, then this is going to have to be a day that you take control of the football, starting with Sam Levitt and Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, but that's also one of the reasons why I asked about Sam Levitt.
Mm-hmm.
Is this is personal to him. His dad, his brother played football at BYU. He didn't get an offer, and when he was transferring, he even mentioned, "Hey, I took a trip to BYU. They didn't recruit me initially. Neither did ASU, but ASU felt like home." And when you have that, and we've seen how Sam Levitt has conducted himself as a leader, as a quarterback, and he's growing in confidence to the point where last week on the field, after beating Kansas State, he says, "I think I'm the best freshman quarterback in the country." That chip is 10 times bigger this week when you feel like you've been personally slighted. But it can work against you, too, if you're too hyped up.
Oh, yeah.
So you're right. He needs to be the same passionate leader that he's been, but also keep it under wraps from a personal standpoint.
And don't feel bad, Sam. Everybody knows BYU only recruits Jewish quarterbacks.
So this is just so fantastic, as our buddy Dave Leonard pointed out, because he does this kind of research. This is by far the most expensive sporting event ever staged at Sun Devil Stadium when you look at the ticket prices. Now again, the Super Bowl in '96, inflation is built in and all that stuff.
I just can't believe they had a Super Bowl there.
Yeah, right?
It's a different time in the 90s.
And so this is great, and to try to make this the new normal is even greater. So it's all there. This is a great opportunity. This is a great intersection for this football program. And as I said in the blast, this is going to be the beginning of a really cool rivalry here in town. And that's good to have. It's good to not always have to look at the Lakers and the Dodgers and the Giants. It's good to go, okay, you know what? There's something really cool brewing between GCU and ASU basketball.
True.
Okay, there's something really, really spicy about BYU versus ASU.
Yeah, and I know there was people pondering that very question. Like ASU, U of A is always going to be the primary rivalry.
And there's that.
But for 40 plus years in the Pac-10/Pac-12, there was the development of those secondary rivalries. I think ASU had a rivalry with USC and with UCLA to a degree.
Right.
So people are wondering what's going to be that secondary rivalry. I think BYU is the answer.
Yeah.
But I think BYU is the answer for a lot of teams in the Big 12.
Certainly Utah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's their number one rival. But in terms of secondary rival,
I'm sorry.
Everybody's going to want to beat BYU.
That is true.
They're not well liked.
That is true.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.